mute. Oh, look at that, guys. I was talking about innovation, and I didn't realize that my mic was mute. I was just saying that I'm very excited to be able to meet you to meet with you today again, and we're going to talk about innovation, right? What do you know about innovation? And I started by innovating my background. Right? I removed the one that we had before, but I don't know what you prefer. Maybe you prefer the one before or the one today. So we see. But anyway, it's about changing and see what is good. And today we're gonna have a pretty interesting conversation because I'd like to know what you know about innovation. We all agree that if we're gonna be moving towards the energy transition, as we mentioned, right, and to limit the climate change, the temperature rise to 1.5 degree now, it's not 2 degree anymore, 1.5 degree. We would definitely need innovation breakthrough, right? Because what we're looking at is to reduce the carbon dioxide emission by more than 70-80% if you compare to the 2015 level. And that will need us to look at innovation. And this is what we're going to talk about. So what do you think about it? So what is your opinion, right? So how do we innovate? Yeah, I'd like to find out from you. But before we go and dive into the conversation, so let me just again welcome you to this channel. So the beautiful thing here is that we actually broadcasting on 4 channels, right? So we are on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, but also on Twitter. So I know people usually watch us from the different channel, and I always see people say, "Hey, I watch your live," and then they give me their opinion. Hey, you know what? It'd be great if you can just drop your comment here on the comment. Yeah, so your feedback on the comment, so I can see what you're thinking, and I get a chance maybe to respond to that. Because you don't know, maybe some of the remark that you want to make, somebody else share the same thing and may be interested to hear the response. So please, if you don't mind, if you're watching now, just drop your drop your question if you have any question or a comment. So that'd be good. Yeah. So and I would just want to say is that the beautiful thing about this channel is that it's open for to everybody. So if you're an investor and you're looking to invest some money into the sector, but you want to have some information to make sure that you use your money properly. So in this channel, definitely we give you the information that will be useful for you. And I can tell you as well that I'm going to get a gentleman that's going to come on stage with me later on. He has something that could be of interest, but I won't tell you more, right? So I want you to discover from you. And if you are a business and you say, hey, I want to be like just a picture that is on the background of Tony's, right? So I like to have my factory like that covered by solar panels. But there's just some information that I'm missing because I'm not a specialist into the sector. I like to hear a little bit more. Whoa, listen, this is what our channel is all about. You simply have to subscribe either on YouTube or you connect with us on LinkedIn. So, and you make sure that every time we do those live, you are here, you ask your question, and we'll address that. Or it could be like I used to be 14 years ago. So I was looking at the sector from a distance. So how do I do to get into it? So the beautiful thing is actually when we step into that, you have the chance to do it. And because we actually want to connect with many of you, we also have created a new newsletter, which is the Green Mind. I don't know if you're watching from LinkedIn. Have you already connected? You have to do so because again, we're sharing information with you. And also recently, I've started a newsletter that's to share my journey as an entrepreneur. For some of you who may be interested, right? You say, hey, I may want to emulate his journey, or maybe I'd like to know a little bit more about him. So this is what I'm going to be doing, and it's called "Seize Your Dream," right? So, and I've also posted one first article. But that's enough about the different channels that we can do. Like I say, there's multiple platforms we're interacting with, so there's no excuse for you not to connect if you want to have the information. Now, let's back into today's conversation because it is very, very important. Because we're going to be talking about innovation, right? So as I said, to reach the objective, the 1.5 degree temperature increase, where we need to limit it to this level, we need innovation, we need breakthrough. So innovation is one of those key factors that will drive the energy transition process, in decarbonizing the whole energy sector. And as we're talking about innovation at its core, what we're talking about is the application, right? Just to define a little bit, is the application of new technologies, right, or practices with enhanced or desirable feature. This is what we're talking about. So when we're looking at the renewable energy sector, well, the innovation includes changes that will help us to overcome some barriers, and that will result in a kind of accelerated deployment of renewable energy, and that's what we are actually looking for. So I think there are different type of innovation, because some of us may just have one or two ideas in mind that they think, okay, it's just a no product. Not necessarily. So what I want to go through here, it's sort of define the different type of innovation that I can think about. So maybe you have a different opinion. So in which case, again, I'm very happy to hear from you. So I can I can see five type of innovation. So I can see, for example, first one we're talking about technology breakthrough, where you actually provide renewable energy solution to sectors where there is at the moment no cost-effective alternative to the conventional sources of energy that they have. That's the first one. The second one, it's about looking at existing renewable energy technologies, right? And looking at existing technologies and looking at how you can provide, bring improvement that will reduce the cost and sort of stimulate the deployment, the acceleration of renewable energy, right? So you actually bring something that's slightly better, right, to reduce and to accelerate the deployment. That's the second type. A third type, right? Here it could be the business model. You're looking at the business model and engagement of new actors across energy system, right? So you're looking at, okay, how can I tweak a little bit, come up with something that's quite new? For example, so when some time ago, so I think was it Copa that came up with the pay-go model, so that was something very new into the market at the time, and clearly that has changed the face of the industry, right? So I'm not sure whether it's Mcopa, but definitely Mcopa was one of the first to use it. But that has revolutionized definitely the off-grid sector. So that's an example of innovation in the business model that can come. So you also have a fourth type, which could be new type of financing. Again, here I can give you an example. You can think about green bonds. That's a new way of financing that wasn't there before, right? You can have result-based financing, whereby you finance a player after he has delivered a certain result. You can see that, you can assess it, and if it's fine, then you can give him the funding that you require. That's another way to do it. And the final way, the final one, which is for me is very important, is the innovation of the policy and regulatory framework. Very, very important. In fact, some countries or some markets are just not prone to innovation because the policy doesn't allow it. Because you come up with an innovation, for example, but you just can't create the market out of it because the policy has not been put in place for you to be able to deploy that. So those are the five type of innovation that I can think about. I'm just going to sum up very quickly. So the breakthrough where you bring in renewable energy to a sector that doesn't have renewable energy yet. That's one type. The second one, you take an existing renewable energy solution, you improve it, you reducing the cost, and you help to stimulate the deployment. The third type, you're looking at new business model, to allow you to bring an innovation from the business side of the operation to make things work better, right? MCOPA, pay as you go is one of it, or new type of financing, yeah, new way, new mechanism to fund the market, to fund solution and project. I talked about the green bond here. I talked about result-based financing, and the last one I talked about the policies in place, framework that again allow innovation to prosper. So this is what I could say regarding this. But I know everything I said that could be still very theoretical. And the key question I was asking here is, as we talk about clean tech innovation, how does it actually happen? Let's imagine you have all the conditions that are there. How does it happen? It reminds me, for example, there was a gentleman I was talking to, I think it was yesterday. He was telling me that he used to be working in the corporate world. Everything was okay. He had a great job, but he wasn't satisfied. He wanted to innovate. He wanted to contribute. And I was just thinking, for somebody like that, I mean, how can he get some keys, right? Some tips and hints that can help him to innovate? Because I'm sure there are many other people like that. And I can actually say that even myself, sometimes say, I like to invent something. Yeah. So how does it work? So I don't have a direct answer, but what I thought is I bring a gentleman who has come up recently with a very, very effective tool, right, in the solar PV design. And I thought if we ask him the question directly, so what kind of step did he go through? We can get some better understanding of the process. So allow me, ladies and gentlemen, listening to me. By the way, as I'm speaking, make sure that you drop your question if you have any, right? Because we would love to answer that. But as I'm speaking to you, let me welcome to you. So, Coffee and Book. Hey, Coffee, how are you?
Hello, Tony. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I like your living room. That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
not too. It's actually a nice background from this media screen, so I'm
yeah,
not going to take all credit for that. So, how are you doing today? Good?
yeah. I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I'm sure you were able to listen a little bit to what I said before with clean tech innovation. And then I think I wanted you to come on stage because for me, you're clearly an innovator, right? So you've gone through a number of ideas that you put onto the market, so you have some understanding, some experience. So I was wondering, so if you can share some insight with us. But before we get to this point, so who is Kofi? I mean, how can people find out a little bit more about you?
Sure, absolutely. And thank you so much for actually introducing me to your channel. I think this is an amazing channel, and I look forward to actually joining. Maybe as an audience member, moving forward. Who am I? Yeah, that is the magic question. Kofi Book. I am an energy professional. Ideally, I actually started in the oil and gas sector many years ago in West Africa, and then I slowly but surely moved into the renewable energy sector. This was probably more than 15 years ago. From then on, I was helping with policy documents, just helping introduce renewable energy. At that time, it was still called alternative energy, helping to introduce it to government as the new form or the new energy of the future. From then on, I obviously started up a consultancy whereby I was developing solar energy projects in sub-Saharan Africa. And I think the light bulb moment that I actually got was that developing projects, especially in high-risk regions, takes a much longer time to get all the due diligence information together, to get the technical feasibility, to assess the country risk, to assess the social risk factor. And the wait time was way too long. So I just thought, okay, if there were an ideal tool out there that can incorporate all these challenges into one, probably that will make deployment of renewable energy solar, obviously in emerging market regions, but as a whole, it's going to make deployment of renewables a lot quicker than the average wait time the planning and development takes.
Okay, no, that's fine. So that's how you came up with this idea. But there are many people that can have that can make the same kind of observation than you. That and obviously I could see that also pretty much on a daily basis, right? So there's many projects where we're working on, and I'm really frustrated by the time it takes to bring those projects to fruitions. So you clearly want to have some ideas that can accelerate that, right? But the thing is, how do you go from, I like to see a tool like that to now I have designed this tool? First of all, how can you, because it's almost like you going a crusade. You decided you're going to be the hero to change to change the face of the industry. So, what kind of mindset do you need to develop to get there?
First of all, yeah, I can't actually take all the credits. Obviously, I work very, very closely with Imperial College London, obviously in helping getting the original methodology behind obviously the PV data tool into place. Um, it's not an easy process. Just to simplify, it is not an easy process. The PV data platform, covers over 90 something countries globally, and it has more than 100,000 unique data sets, from environmental data sets to climate data set to risk data set on any given country within any given region within that country. So that process of data collection is probably the first key challenge. Okay, data, as people say now, data is the new currency, data is the new gold. It took us probably about 4 to 5 years to actually gather all that data before we actually started, looking at, building an actual software model, basically incorporating that data into the software. So the first challenge is actually gathering the data. But before you can gather the data, you have to have that background knowledge about the industry. You need to understand what it is to develop, a solar project from cradle to grave, as some people call it. You need to understand how can you go towards land permission, how can you source land. You need to understand the EPC process. How does the EPC work? How can you negotiate an EPC? Obviously, you need to understand how to build a technical feasibility analysis for solar. You need to understand how to build an EIA model for solar. So you need to have that background knowledge to start with, and once you have that background knowledge, then you know what type of data that you actually need to retrieve. And obviously, thank goodness I had a prior knowledge as a renewable energy solar developer. So I already knew obviously what industry would be looking for, and that actually helped me gather the right data or data sets for PV data.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sure that there's some people that will be watching this, because like I said, there's a lot of people that are watching, some are watching even afterwards. So they're not in the sector necessarily, right? And I know that because some have reached out to me. They're not in the sector at all, right? But they enjoy watching our conversations. And they be asking, okay, I've heard Kofi talk about PV data, solar design, but I'm not really sure I understand how useful is it, and what do we do with that. So in very, very simple term, for the layman, so in layman's language, so what is PV data? What is it useful? What does it bring that people really don't have? So like I said, for the person that we not in the industry, but just like to sort of expand the knowledge, what is that?
Sure. So, in just a few sentences, how I'll describe it. PV data is the solar software tool that measures the financial feasibility and sustainability of your solar energy project anywhere in the world. It delivers, a detailed due diligence report assessment on your project, highlighting the performance of your project and also the risk factors that your project will be exposed to. So in simple sentences, that's how I will define PV data to the average user.
Okay, that's fine. So, and I guess you are from the same line of thought. Like, if we're gonna be deploying and fast tracking the deployment of solar, for example, I know that in the case of Germany, they've decided to increase significantly. I think it's 2015 gigawatts of solar that they want to bring online by 2030, which is very aggressive, much higher than what they had before. It means that we need to have processes and tools that will help us to fast track this process. Basically,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Obviously, with that, the example for Germany, obviously, with the unfortunate war going on in Ukraine at the moment, has actually propelled a lot of governments, especially governments in Europe, to actually fast track their solar deployment as a whole. And obviously, just alluding to your net zero IA scenario of 1.5 degrees C by 2050. The target basically, I mean, we actually expect renewable energy solar to dominate obviously the power sector by 2040, 2050. So with that, there's going to be a lot more solar online between now and the next 20, 30 years. And to effectively get all those solar energy deployed, you need tools such as pvdata to help fast track the initial planning process. So you know quickly within a matter of minutes using the pvdata whether a solar energy project is going to be financially feasible or not. So you don't waste time. I mean, the typical industry standard in planning project, it takes weeks. For some large project, especially in risky markets, getting all the information you need may take months. From my experience as a solar developer, more than 7, 8 years ago, before PV data, obviously, regular stakeholders in that space build their 50 to 100 megawatt solar infrastructures or trying to plan for 50 to 100 megawatt solar infrastructures. We're taking up to 6 to probably even 12 months to get all the required data they need. So PV data basically reduces that lead time from a couple of weeks or a couple of months, just a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes. So you know then and there whether or not your project will be successful. And what we try to do, and this what really differentiates us and separates us from the competitors out there, is that we identify potential risk factors, not just financial risk, not just technical risk, but social risk factors that your project could possibly encounter during its life cycle, environmental risk factors that your project could possibly encounter during its life cycle. So those key non quantitative risks or those key qualitative risks that could make or break a project. For PV data, luckily, obviously it takes all those into consideration for the user.
Okay, that's fine. So the PV data tool, I know a little bit about that, and I think I'm probably going to bring you back for a future episode because I like to understand a little bit more and explore in more details what the news look like. You say there's going to be a massive deployment of solar, and I probably would need an expert like you, maybe invite somebody else as well to properly understand how do we make it happen across the world, right? So you can a different aspect. How can tools like PV data or others can help with that? That's fine. Thanks for that, Coffee. But I have one last question for you, which is we need to respond to this question, right? So how does the spark happen? So because I'm sure there's young wannabe innovator or old wannabe innovator or has been trying to be innovator and they've not maybe not as successful as you. So from your experience, 'cause you know you're a very humble man, but having known you for a few years now, I know this is not your first. This is not your first attempt to bring about a software product that we believe can revolutionize the industry. Whether or not those past experiences were as successful as you wanted, still the fact that you're already on the second or third, I know you have many other ideas, it means that you have understood something on the path, on the process to bring about innovation. So what is that secret? So I want to be an innovator. What is the secret?
I think that the secret, to be quite honest with you, Tony, is making a difference. When you know you can bring something to planet Earth, I'm not trying to sound vague, but you can bring something to planet Earth that is going to help your next door neighbor, that's going to help the next generation. I think that was the spark for me. Obviously, while trying to research about the industry and looking at other solar platforms out there, of course, we have competitors in the market without a doubt. But obviously, trying to bring your own unique USP, your own unique idea into what has already been done, I think that was the spark for me, just to hopefully make a difference in the renewable energy sector.
Excellent. That's fine. So that means to all innovators there, like I say, you need to want to make a difference. And ultimately, if that desire is that strong, so life will lead you toward the innovation that will be yours and that you can bring into the market. Coffee, thank you very much for that. So I'll let you go. Like I say, we're
Thank you
definitely
so
going to
much,
have
Tony.
yeah, a pleasure to have you. Like I say, we're definitely going to have the opportunity to talk more to Coffee in the next edition, because I really want to tap into that big solar deployment that's going to happen within the next few years, and see how things are going. So I hope that obviously you found it very useful. So clean tech innovation, how does it happen? I've told you about the different type of innovation that we have, and I'm hoping that you remember what it is. I can very briefly summarize it. I talked about innovation breakthrough, where you bring a renewable energy solution to a sector that didn't have that before. So you bring that to replace conventional energy and energy sources that are there. That's the first one. The second one, type of innovation, you already have a renewable energy technology that is working, but you're bringing something new, right? That reduces the cost and accelerate the deployment of renewables energy. That's the second way. The third way, it's about a new business model, right? That you bring about, change the face of the industry. Gave the example of pay as you go. That's an example of a new business model. So talked about a new type of financing, right? So result-based financing as one of them, right? So you can have as well, what is that? Green bonds. That's another one of them. There's multiple other new mechanisms that are being explored at the moment. I'm particularly, obviously, at the moment, I can't talk too much, but working or exploring with let's say a reputable, famous company, looking at ways we can tap into financing mechanism for the upgrade market. And the last type of innovation I talked about, policy and regulatory framework. So those are the different type of innovation. And obviously we had Kofi. Oh yeah, so I forgot to mention that Kofi came and talked about the PV his experience, the pvdata tool, which is that he put together. So what I'm doing, I'm just gonna type that's the link there for those of you who want to, and I would even advise definitely go and download it, look at how it look like, and then you see whether that's something that could be useful for you or not. And I say going forward on a Wednesday, I like to explore more about the topic of big solar deployment that's going to happen around the world, right? If we looking at the news that we're saying, if anything there holds true, which I believe it would, right? Because there's a kind of urgency from the side. So I hope that you have enjoyed. I don't know if there was a question. If there's a question, I will dive into that very quickly. So if not the case, because I don't see any question at the present moment. So, but I'm sure that when I go and watch the video afterward, there'll be lots of questions. But I hope that you have enjoyed it and you understand a little bit more about how do you get the spark to happen. Coffee said it's about wanting to make the difference. And if that desire is very strong to you, you obviously will be led towards the innovation that will match and fit with you, right? And with your sector. So hope you've enjoyed. I definitely did. And then it's a pleasure as usual to talk to you. And all I want to say, so may the sun be with you. And I definitely will talk to you next Sunday at 2:30 BST time. Okay, guys, take care. And thank you to Kofi for attending our conversation.